Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Weekend Wrap-Up. I'm David Thomas. Mr. Josh Blevins sitting across from me. Josh, it's good to have you sitting over there this morning.
Good to have you back from assignment this week.
Yes, I'm back from assignment. I don't know that I accomplished my assignment, but I am back.
You have returned either way.
I have returned. And I know you've got a few little odds and ends you want to kind of talk about before we take our first sponsor.
Before we hear from our main three sponsors, I just wanted to point out that today's show is fueled by Southern Cup,
right?
Local coffee company. And coffee this morning was paid for by Time to Travel Inc. Keely Graves, travel advisor. Go to timetotravelinc.com and they will hook you up with your travel needs. If you've been paying attention at all on the Facebooks or the internets, they've been doing Pay It Forward at Southern Cup for this. Started off with, I think a realtor did this several weeks ago, and it's just kept right on trucking. They had multiple sponsors now each day are paying for coffee, and you roll up in there, and sometimes you might have to pay for your coffee, and sometimes your coffee's free. And today my coffee was
free.
Reason to go. It's a reason to go to Southern Cup. So go to Southern Cup. And then I'm also fueled by the VFW breakfast because I just got out of breakfast. So
your tank is full.
My tank is full. Yeah. $10 all you can eat breakfast. Second Saturday every month. VFW is 7 to 9:30 a.m. So
very good.
Stop by and get you some breakfast. It's too late now. You missed this month, but go next month.
There you go.
Go next month.
All right. And anything else going on today?
No, it's been a slow week. We're not going to have a lot to talk about.
Are we not?
Okay. We'll probably find something.
All right.
Just, let's hear from our sponsors.
While we scuffle around and find something to talk about, let's hear from our sponsors.
Let's hear from our sponsors.
We'll be right back.
For clear vision and trusted care, choose Cutting Edge Optical. We offer comprehensive eye exams powered by 20/20 exams, expert contact lens fittings, and a wide selection of quality frames to match your style and budget. Need glasses fast? We even offer same-day eyeglasses to keep you seeing clearly without the wait. Our experienced team is committed to personalized service and helping you see your best every day. Visit Cutting Edge Optical at 1114 North Main Street in Shelbyville or call 931-488-5778 to schedule your appointment today.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
When you're ready to buy or sell in Middle Tennessee, you want someone who knows this community inside and out. Meet Diane and Madison Arnold, Shelbyville's trusted real estate team with decades of local experience and award-winning results. Whether it's finding your dream home, pricing your property to sell, or navigating every step of the transaction with confidence, they're with you from start to finish. As part of Coldwell Banker Southern Realty, they pair hometown expertise with powerful market tools to help you move with confidence. Call Diane and Madison today and experience the personal service and local knowledge that makes all the difference.
All righty. We want to thank our three sponsors for allowing us to do the weekend wrap up. That's the Dream Team, Diane and Madison Arnold. For all your real estate needs, give them a call. Cutting Edge Optical and Dennis Young Insurance. Dennis Young's been with us for 100 years.
I thought it was like 48 or something.
48. That's what you said. I'll say 100. It's close enough.
He's been around for a while, so we appreciate Dennis. So.
Let's dive in. We found something we can talk about during the commercial break.
We did. We weren't sure we were going to have anything to discuss, but normally we go through just the week in chronological order, but I don't like to bury the lead story, and I know why people are going to want to watch today. The talk around town and on the internets and everywhere I've been around town is the Remington Farm PUD. So we're going to discuss, there was a vote Thursday night at the city council. First reading of the Remington Farm PUD. This is a planned unit development. It is 158 acres with 400 houses, 135 townhomes, a little under 10 acres of commercial, and 20 acres set aside for a theoretical future school in the future.
Right.
Get ready for the clip because we're going to go pretty quick to the clip, but I want to set it up. We're going to play with something a little longer than I normally would. I like to keep things under a minute, but I wanted to play. There was really only, other than myself, one council member that kind of spoke to what their position was on this particular project. I want to speak a little bit briefly before we play it in support of the others on the council. Not that they can't speak for themselves, but I know they've gotten a lot of flack online for, oh, you're getting paid off.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't feel like anybody's getting
Yeah.
paid off. I don't feel like there was an under the table deal. I disagree with their position on the project, which is what we're going to get into here. But I don't question anybody's motives or payoffs, or I think they are doing what they feel like is right, for their constituents in their own mind. I disagree with where they're at, but I don't think anybody got a big check in the mail. So
Yeah.
With that, we're going to play about a 3-minute clip. This is my colleague, Mr. Henry Feldhaus. He's going to speak, and what I want people to pay attention to is how many times there's talk about the developer in this monologue, and how little time I feel like, and make your own judgment on this, is spent actually on maybe what's good for the city, what's good for future or current city residents, the development itself. There's leans a lot towards the developer did this, the developer did that, the developer did that. We'll talk about why that's not even the discussion here after the clip, but let's go ahead and play Mr. Feldhaus. This was his response on why he feels like he should vote yes, why he did vote yes for this to move forward. So.
All right.
Was that this can's been kicked around for 2.5 years. And traffic, that's what we heard tonight. That's what we've heard all along. This developer has agreed to turn basically 41A into a 3-lane road to give everybody a turn lane down through there. That's going to help a whole lot of people getting in and out of their access to Cloverdale and all the other driveways and roads. It's over a mile and millions of dollars that the city's not getting ready to spend. I don't see anybody else spending it. And you can only just keep beating a dead horse, I guess, for as long as they've come back and answered every question that the original planning commission and the council had 2 years ago. I got copies of the minutes. I was the one that requested that the council be sent all those copies of the minutes to make sure what they were asked at that time. And the sewer and utilities was a biggie, along with the new traffic count, which has been updated. And they're gone above and beyond to answer the traffic. Utilities is definitely willing to accept the upfront millions of dollars that they're going to be paying to upgrade the sewer and the utilities out there. So that's the other big complaint I've heard. Cloverdale, in difference to some opinions, it is a very wide street, and it was designed more as a feeder road from that subdivision out to 41A. I've been around long enough to know when that was all built, and I've ridden on it many times and got friends that live out there. But it's one of those situations that, we're going to have the development. You've got a developer that builds quality facilities, quality homes. It's not junk, and you can't keep asking for more. You've got to draw a line somewhere. It's been 2.5 years. We can send it back. We can amend, and we have amended our subdivision regulations and our requirements for more open space and that kind of thing. But we can't keep doing that when they are more or less grandfathered in under this development. So it's time to fish or cut bait. And we've got a developer that's willing to do this. If he comes back again with amendments, he may not want to do it then. The county can also benefit from the school property. That's forward thinking. I like the vision that he's put forward. The traffic, you're not going to have 4 people per house that have 2,000 people. If you do that, you're not going to, every house in town is barely at 1.5 people now. So I don't see how you get 4 people to put that kind of population in there. Growth is going to happen. If we don't want this kind of quality growth, then we might as well declare a moratorium and we're not going to do anything. The city council has not done that. It's not been recommended by anybody. So
Can't do it.
for me, it's time to push the button get it done. If they gotta come back and amend the PUD book, which I think that if they wanna make some major amendments, we can come back and do it again on future, but it's time to move this thing forward.
Okay, Mr. Blevins.
All right. Somebody told me this week, David, that 97.6% of stats are made up on the spot. Mr. Feldhouse gave us some information there, some numerical information. I'm a numbers and stats guy.
Yeah, I know.
And I will tell you 100% of the stats that he gave there were incorrect. We're going to at least clarify those. Not that that changes anybody's mind, but I think it's important if you're going to put numbers out, particularly in a public meeting, put out the right ones. We'll start with the road. The statement was made that the developer is going to spend millions of dollars on the road. There was nothing in our packet that gave us a dollar amount on this road. So where he got that figure, I don't know. And I would ask him to clarify where he got the figure. The number verbally that I was given on this road was under $1 million as far as what's being done. It's, we talked about during the meeting, there's no right-of-way acquisition being done. The road is not being widened in any way. They're going to scrape off some pieces of the top layer and redo the lines on the road. And I was at least given verbally that that would save the city under $1 million is the dollar amount connected to that. So there is not going to be millions of dollars spent on the road. On utilities, he also mentioned that there's going to be millions of dollars spent up front on the utility infrastructure. The original deal that Shelbyville Power agreed to back in 2023, the developer would pay $1.4 million towards sewer upgrades on the front. That isn't some kind of a special deal. That is actually the standard $2,000 per sewer hookup that all developers pay, regardless of how big or how small the development is. They pay $2,000 a unit because the unit count has gone down. The actual dollar amount connected to this one is not millions. It's actually right at exactly $1 million. It's 1.07 if you want to be exact, down to the penny. So it's actually less than the deal that is in our packet, the written deal. I actually verbally asked to get on the record with the developer at the, it was either at the study session or the planning meeting. I asked the developer, would you agree to hold yourself to that $1.4 million number that's in writing? He said he would not. He's only going to give the minimum $2,000 per unit. So there will be an investment into the sewer system only, and it's 1.04 million. And then the final number that was given out there during the 3 minutes was, he mentioned that we're not going to have 4 people per house because the city currently only has 1.5 people per house, unless he's gone out and done a separate count from the U.S. Census Bureau. The U.S. Census Bureau has the numbers in Shelbyville city limits at 2.64 people per household. That's including people living in apartments and one-bedroom units. Nothing in this development will even have 1 bedrooms. This will be 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units. So if you want to hold to the numbers that you can actually hold to, which will be the census numbers, it would be that 2.6 number. In reality, because these are going to be a lot of 3 and 4 bedroom units, it could head towards 4. Nobody knows that until everybody moves in. But this is a neighborhood with yards and 3 and 4 bedroom homes mixed in with some 2 and 3 bedroom townhomes. The likelihood is it will be higher than the census number, but it definitely, at no point will there be 1.4 people per household in this neighborhood. That's not realistic. That's another one of those 97.6% of stats.
That's right.
That was made up on the spot.
Pulled out of thin air.
Pulled out of thin air. So his main argument there was the can's been kicked around for 2.5 years. Time to fish or cut bait. You can't keep asking for more. There is a general misconception in the public about what is going on here, because I've seen a lot of comments, I'm going to try to explain it as best I can. I'm not going to do a great job. This is literally what's called a PUD. It's a planned unit development. A PUD, to a lot of people, particularly that aren't in the world of planning, they see PUD and they immediately think, oh, this is awful, we need to stop it. So a PUD in and of itself is not a bad thing. Actually, done properly, a PUD is a good thing. What a PUD is, in our sense, in the city, it's done different ways, different places. It's a form of zoning in the city of Shelbyville that allows you to bring in a development like this one that does not meet the standard zoning regulations. I've heard a number of comments. We've seen them on Facebook. We've gotten them in messages. I've heard from people in person. Oh, this development meets all of our standards. By definition, a PUD doesn't meet the standards of standard subdivisions. That's why you go through the PUD process. The PUD has smaller setbacks. The houses are closer together. It has smaller yards, smaller could have smaller front and back setbacks. I believe in this particular one, they've gone smaller on the sides, maybe smaller at either front or back. Some of them they meet, some of them they don't. The point is, that's what a PUD is. It doesn't meet standard zoning. So you go through this process where a PUD is a good thing from the city standpoint and should be for people that live in the city. Is it's a trade-off. By allowing a developer to get more units, smaller lot sizes, you expect from the developer in return that they give you something that's normally in the standpoint of better design standards, locked in design standards, better green space, amenities, parks, playgrounds, you name it. You're willing to take, as a city, houses on slightly smaller yards for the fact that these kids are going to be able to walk down the sidewalk a couple hundred yards and play in a playground. Whereas if it was standard zoning, the developer's not required to do that. So that's what a PUD is.
So the trampoline don't end up in the middle of the street with the basketball goals.
Yeah, possibly. So if it's done right. So that's what a PUD is. That's what we're looking at. There is no, in this, I think we got into this a couple weeks ago after the planning commission meeting. There's no checklist that you hit and a PUD or even a rezoning is approved. It's a legislative decision done by the legislative body. That's why the city council is reviewing this. If it had a checklist, it would stay at the planning commission level, like a site plan or like a plat, a final plat, a preliminary plat, those type of things. If there just was a set of standards you had to hit, it would stay there and we would just review it at the planning commission. The fact that it comes up to the city council is because there's actually a decision that has to be made. You have to look at what your regular standards are.
You're basically waiving those in lieu of this.
And has what you've been given, does it do enough to satisfy you as representatives of the city? Is this good for the city long term? Is this good for city residents? Is this good for our infrastructure? Is this a whole list of things you should be thinking through with this? So what the actual physical document we vote on is called and I'm going to draw a blank on this, what it is. It is a pattern book.
Right.
So they've sent us a pattern book. This will become the law on this piece of property if it's approved by the city council. This pattern book talks about everything from the things I just talked about, side setbacks, number of units per acre, green space, parks. Everything in this pattern book is what we are voting on. We have to decide, is this pattern book good for the city? And at its location, does it work with the infrastructure, with the roads, with whatnot, so on and so forth. My position has been looking at this pattern book and not just because I know I've heard from people, oh, it's in your neighborhood or it's in your side of town. You're just picking on this one because it's on your side of town. I've consistently made the same decisions. We voted against a development on Richdale within the last couple of months because it wasn't good for that part of the city. No bearing at all on my ward at all. But we looked at that. It wasn't right for that area. It was too dense. It didn't fit in with the surrounding area. I voted against it. There was a development when I first got in, Whitthorne at Barksdale. You and I talked about that one for months and months and months. That one passed. It did get through. That was a close one. That was a 4-3 vote that actually went to the mayor, had to break the tie on that one. And that was bad for that area and for the city. There were a number of reasons. It didn't meet our minimum standards. The council agreed to waive it. That's what the council is there for. That was their decision. But I consistently also, was on the side of let's not lower our standards just because of this development. So that's where we're at. Traffic, as he mentioned right off the top of his thing, traffic. Traffic is the key metric that this fails at as far as what's being done. There is a fix proposed. It's a 1 mile stretch, actually 1.1. They're saying 1.2. I measure 1.1. Who's counting for 0.1 miles? The traffic is not in just that 1 mile stretch. Those cars don't just drive back and forth for a mile. the traffic impact extends way beyond that. It extends to county roads, it extends to state highways, it extends in a number of different directions. There's not a wormhole at Max Street that sucks all the cars in and they disappear.
Yeah.
They keep on going past there. Even one of the intersections that was studied in the traffic study that we were presented to make our decision on this clearly states that there's an intersection that's not addressed in these fixes. It's an expensive fix. It should not be on this developer completely. But I've had people say, oh, TDOT signed off on this. TDOT, very specifically, I read part of the email at the meeting, said the mayor, the city council, the city manager, and the city attorney could, I don't want to say should because that's stronger language, could sit down and negotiate this intersection with the developer for some kind of a percentage contribution due to the fact that they're lowering the level of service.
Yes.
That never happened. It was never brought
Which
as
intersection
an
are
option.
we talking
We're
about?
talking Colorado at
Yes.
Elm. Yeah. That intersection was never addressed. The initial scoping on the traffic study, I mentioned this on Thursday night. The initial scoping on the traffic study looked at 5 existing intersections. Besides those 5, which they looked at and they addressed, they ignored 2 major intersections in the other direction, which is Hummingbird Lane and Grand Station Boulevard.
Right.
Both of those intersections are closer to this development than many that they measured in the other direction.
Right.
So they ignored those, didn't even look at them, didn't measure the traffic, didn't look for mitigation measures. The traffic study, however, does show how much traffic is headed in that direction. 36% of all traffic coming and going from this development goes to those 2 intersections. And there was no measurement to
Right.
see, did the level of service degrade there? Should there be any kind of fix? It wasn't even done. And then a significant portion of the traffic will, as we know, if you ever are on the west side of town, will eventually hit Jennings Lane, Shaw,
Yep.
Old Nashville Dirt Road, and Peacock. Those were not measured because a number of those involve a mix of county and city roads, and there's nothing the city can do to address those, so they didn't even measure it. So none of that was addressed in this plan. To the pattern book itself, well, let's go to the developer. So there was a lot of talk, which I mentioned at the top, on the developer. We are not voting on the developer. Nothing that we are voting on ties us to this developer. We are voting on the development.
Right.
We're voting on a pattern book that sets out a set of standards, and that is all we have the opportunity to vote on. That's all that's locked into law by this vote. This developer that they're enamored with, and is a great developer, everybody knows who he is. He's a good developer, does great work, have nothing against him or the company or the development. I mentioned at the meeting, I met them for coffee on Tuesday. They pitched me this development in person. They pitched, as far as I know, and I've not heard this from everybody, it seems like they reached out to all 6 of the council members individually and pitched them all individually. So I met them at Grindstone Cowboy in public where everybody could see it, paid for my own coffee,
Right.
and they gave me the pitch, which is fine. That's all above board legal. It was mentioned publicly. But I'm not voting on him or his company. There's nothing in here that ties this piece of property to him. He has no legal, contractual, whatever obligation to be the guy that finishes this over. This is, as
Right.
has been mentioned a lot, particularly by people in favor, this is not happening overnight. This is 10, 15 years it's going to take to do
Right.
this. Nothing ties him to being the one that does it. He is likely to be the one that does it. It's a big company. They're probably not going to go under. They're probably not going to go bankrupt. They're probably not going to leave town. However, we don't have any control over that. All we can look at is the development, the standards, what's in the pattern book. That's all that we're setting. This particular pattern book, and we've seen several that have come before us, and I've also reviewed some from other jurisdictions just as part of our training that we got for planning. This is one of the weakest pattern books I've ever reviewed. And this pattern book was not prepared by this developer that everybody is so enamored by. This pattern book existed before he, at least in my mind, was in the picture. Now, he may have been in the picture in the background. He was not mentioned in any of our paperwork early on when this pattern book came in. This pattern book was created by a different engineering company, different whatever. It's not a good pattern book. The design standards are subpar. I used some stronger language at the council member meeting that I won't use
I was
again.
wanting that clip.
I know you're wanting that clip, but the design standards are subpar. All it requires is that they build units that are 1,200 square feet, have vinyl siding, and have an asphalt roof. That's it, asphalt shingles. no other standard as far as design, as far as quality, as far as whatever. And that's not to say, back to the developer, which we're not even voting on, that this developer is not going to build a better product than is in there. But we don't have any guarantee of that. This guy could, get hit by a bus tomorrow. He could decide to go into a different market tomorrow. All unlikely, but all theoretically possible. And we're left with the document, with the pattern book. We're not left with him or his company or his organization. Right. We're left with the development. The development itself is substandard. It's not a great development in the book. They could come back with a better book. I made some mention at the meeting. There were things that were left out of the book. The city attorney mentioned at the beginning, hey, we're verbally making changes to this book at a meeting. This is the biggest development ever to come to the city of Shelbyville. This is not the standard order of operation. These level of changes should go back to the planning commission. Nobody wanted to listen to what I did, but nobody else wanted to listen to what the city attorney had to say. Planning director said the same thing. He said, these are major changes we're making on the floor. This book wasn't ready, shouldn't have been here. We should send it back, have it relooked at. We want to fish or cut bait.
Okay.
We don't want to.
What'd you do? Did you fish or cut bait?
I voted my conscience and what I felt like was the right decision for the city, which is the infrastructure isn't ready. Eventually, there will be a development here. It seems like this is going to be the development because we can tell by the vote count. This is going to pass, it seems like. I don't think anybody's changing their mind. However, I don't think it's ready. The infrastructure is not ready. Eventually it will be. There's different things that the city, the state, the county could work together and do to get it ready. Those things aren't on the books. They're not guaranteed. If we vote and approve this pattern book next month, this development is guaranteed. Not necessarily the guy building it, but the actual development will happen by somebody in that location or is legally allowed to. Now, the market may also dictate some of this. If houses aren't selling, somebody might.
I think the market,
but eventually the market will turn.
I think the market is going to. I feel like that it's cooled off quite a bit to the point to where this is going to be down the road. I don't think it's going to be happening immediately. Yeah. But let me ask you this, Josh. You were there. I didn't get to be there. I was watching and listening by live stream. Yeah. And I came in late. I did not get to see how many people were there, public speakers that were speaking on behalf or against
whatever the room holds. It held them. It's not a big room, so there was not a lot of there were no empty seats. So yeah, the room was full, and then we have one overflow room with a TV in it, and that one seemed to have. I can't see into that one other than through a single window, and that one seemed to have a lot of people standing in it. So both rooms were full. Everybody obviously spoke against it. You rarely would have on any development somebody coming to speak for it other than the developer and the people involved in the development. I give weight to what my neighbors say and, what the community says. But at the same time, and not to go too far in the other direction, but at the same time, that is not, I give it weight, but also I've spent a lot of time researching this development, and there are reasons. Just the fact, because you've got to be careful not to get into there's an acronym, NIMBY, the not in my backyard. This was another thing we covered a lot in the world planning. Nobody wants anything in their backyard. So, and I don't want anything in my backyard that I don't like either. So you're going to have some of that, and that is, that's 100% normal. So not to look past what people think, but you also do have to think about, I've got to think about people outside my ward, other parts of the city as well. So I've got to give that some consideration. Ultimately, the reason that I voted no, even though obviously it went with what everybody was saying in that meeting, was because I think the development is not ready in this location at this time. Right. So I think there's a number of aspects, technical and also just general, that it fails at.
Okay. So, I think the general sentiment in Bedford County and in the city, from all angles, from all wards, from all districts, is that our infrastructure is failing somewhat. Yeah, we're not ready for a lot of this type of development, and it being the largest one that's been pushed onto Shelbyville in my lifetime. It's a small city. Yeah. I feel like, and I'm going to ask your opinion. Do you feel like that the voice of the general public was taken into consideration in this vote overall?
That that would speak to motives of the other council, and I'm not gonna speak to that. I can't say who's spoken to them and who hasn't. I don't know that. I only know who speaks to me. So I certainly took everybody that reached out to me into consideration. They may have had different people talk to them, so I can't say. I do want to. I know we've gotten a number of comments. Let me just hit on one right now. This one is talking specifically about infrastructure. This is Mr. Stewart. It will not strain infrastructure, will raise home values, which helps create individual wealth. The development is coming in phases. It's not all at one time, plus the added value of a neighborhood school. I'll hit that. I'll just work from top to bottom. It clearly is going to be an infrastructure strain. Infrastructure is more than just electric, water, and sewer.
Right.
This is going to strain on the county side of things, and particularly the school system. Just staying again with the stats from the Census Bureau, which I think this neighborhood will be higher than that. Census Bureau stats is going to put about 400 kids in this neighborhood when it's done. He does mention it's phased. Absolutely. These kids will not all be there next year. It will be 10 to 15 years before they're there. However, at build out, this neighborhood will generate more kids than the school system can handle. Build out 10 to 15 years from now.
Right.
Oh, there's a school in the neighborhood. The school is a piece of property with a 20 to 25 year window for the county to build on it. The developer actually mentioned at the meeting, he's not even signed this agreement yet. He says he will, and I take him at his word if the city approves their end of the deal. The city is not, we spoke on this at Plain, the city is not a party to that contract. That's contract between the county and the developer. So the city has no control over whether a school gets built there or not. The school system in particular, we're aware, they just built Cartwright Elementary School. Cartwright Elementary School had more kids when it opened than they expected. If this development were to come in, it's zoned for Cartwright, it would, at build out, put Cartwright way over capacity. Cartwright will not be even paid off until 2039. The school board has a plan already for what's going to happen after Cartwright. We've seen that plan. They gave us the plan. The next step in the growth of the city school system is Liberty High School. The growth step beyond that is the rebuilding of South Side and then East Side. There's no scenario running right now, even a reasonable scenario, where the school system's even going to look at a West Side Elementary School anytime in the next 20 to 25 years. Very unlikely, highly unlikely, even I would go so far as to say, as someone that attends all those meetings. So to point to the fact that there's 20 acres of empty land there that's available for school, that's great. Unless somebody's going to put up the money to build it, it's not going to happen. What could end up happening is, and this is where you get into where this is a legitimate strain on your infrastructure. Schools are part of your infrastructure. If we do get too many kids on the west side that Cartwright and the other schools cannot handle them, they'll be forced into building a school. There's one place that money comes from for building a school. That's taxpayers. So that will lead to a forced property tax increase for the entire, not just the city, for the whole county, if the school infrastructure gets strained too much. So that's what happens with that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I didn't miss any points so I don't. The phasing, absolutely. None of this on the front end. This is, I talked to somebody about this at a lunch this week. On the front end, this is going to feel like a good deal when it starts because the road work actually happens before most of the construction happens. So traffic on Union Street is going to be improved for about the first, once it's done. The construction's going to be awful. Everybody's going to hate it. And they're going to complain for whenever they're doing the work. Once the 3 lanes are in, traffic will be measurably improved based on the traffic study information they gave us for in the 5 to 7 year range. Could be as long as 10 years if it's a slow market. It's all going to depend on the phasing and how fast they can
I don't
build.
think it's going to be as fast as everybody thinks.
So it could be better for about 10 years. At that point, you will hit a tipping point where the number of units will have pushed the traffic up enough that your level of service will go back to where it was before initially. And then eventually will go below where it was initially before all the construction started. Once it starts going below where the construction started, there's no second phase to this expansion of the road. There's nothing in the works beyond this center lane. So you're trading a short-term fix. You're going to feel good for 5 to 10 years, depending on construction, for long-term pain down the road with no solution in the works for the long term. Now, we've got hopes and dreams for a bypass. We got hopes and dreams for a correction of the Colorado intersection with some grants or something. None of that's guaranteed. None of it's on the books. None of it's even
Right.
where you could say, oh man, I feel like we're 50-50, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. So that's what's happening there. As far as home values, unless they do something that's not in the pattern book, everything that's being proposed here is right at the starter home level. You're talking 2-bedroom townhome, no garage, vinyl siding, asphalt roof. That is not going to raise anybody's home value.
No.
And this isn't about home values, but if that's your argument, this ain't it.
As a matter of fact, it's gonna go the opposite direction. It will.
Yeah.
Most of the homes in that area are brick.
Yeah.
I lived there my whole life, so
Okay.
it's probably gonna reverse effect. I mean,
Okay.
it's probably gonna bring your values down.
It could
if
but
you built that.
If you build it, and we can't, home values are not where we make our decision. Let's get to, he made one other point. And actually, this was one I had on my bullet list. Let's get to this point. This was raised by Mr. Feldhouse. Unless you want a moratorium, it's going to happen. Everybody laughed when he said that, because as we know, we're not getting a moratorium, nor is nobody is asking for a moratorium. That is the classic straw man argument where you're arguing with somebody and you try to frame what they're saying as, oh, you want a moratorium? Ha, ha, ha. You want to stop all building.
Right.
Nobody's asking for a moratorium. It's not necessary to have a moratorium. We don't need a moratorium to hold developers, builders, everyone to a higher standard. We just need to hold them to the standard. We're well within our legal, moral, whatever obligation you have to hold developers to a better standard for the city of Shelbyville. That is fully allowed in turning down a planned unit development that does not meet our standard zoning ordinances. That's why it comes to the legislative level. There are 6 people that can make the decision of whether this is good for the city or not. The rest of the city elects them. They are the final arbiters of, is this good for the city? Turning down a single development is not a moratorium. We voted down 3 at least I can think of off the top of my head in the last 4 months. Nobody blinked an eye because they didn't have a big name behind them that had a lot of pull, that everybody loved, that was, that everybody gets focused on, that company, that developer, that guy. Oh, they're the best things since sliced bread. He's a great guy. He builds nice homes. I've been through some of the developments, beautiful developments. I would love to have one of their homes over. Not to pick on my builder, but they've left town, so I will. I would rather live in one of his homes than the builder that I bought from. He builds a better product than the builder that I bought the home that I live in from. That does not make this a great development for the city of Shelbyville just because he's a great guy and builds a great home. Because again, we're not voting on him. We're not voting on his company. We're not voting on what he does. We're voting on the document before us. The document before us was subpar. It was not a great development. It was not great for the city. It did strain infrastructure in multiple different ways. And that's why at this time, also a no is not a permanent no. This developer, another developer, the 3 that are in line behind him, so many developers that are coming to town could come back with this property with a better document, a better product, and get it voted on. Think these don't move fast, but 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road. At that point, facts on the ground could be different. If they had a better product, it may sail right through. It may get a 6-0. But what we're left with is the document where it is as it is. And that's why I made the decision that I did. And I stand by my decision. I had both newspapers contacted me after the fact and asked if I wanted to give some additional comments. And I said, I said what I said. I stand by what I said. And I wouldn't have said it if I don't stand by it.
That's right.
Yeah. I said more than a mouthful, and that's why. So, yeah. So, I think we've beat that one enough.
We beat it to death.
We beat that one. Man, we went a long time on that. I've got a lot more to say, and you got a show coming up at 11. We're gonna have to move awful quick, and I apologize to the rest of the stuff we're gonna cover. That we're gonna hit it in rapid fashion. There was a lot more that went on at the city council meeting. You would think that was the only thing we talked about. We were there close to 2 hours, and a number of things were done. A number of them I feel like were positive for the city going forward. We adopted the strategic plan for 2026. That sets out the priorities for the different departments in the city as far as what we're doing going forward over the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. That got adopted. We authorized $5,000 for the upcoming community clinic Meharry Gala. That's going to be held in April. I hope to attend that. That's has been for the last couple of years, kind of helps raise money. They do great work at the community clinic. They provide medical and dental work to low-income people in our community at little to no cost. Great organization. Glad to support them. This is probably the biggest thing that happened at this meeting that will get the least amount of play. The city council voted to rejoin the Bedford County Chamber of Commerce at the level of $20,000, which was their top sponsorship level.
Right.
This is a relationship that has been broken in the city of Shelbyville between the city and the chamber and the county.
Yeah.
Going back 3 or 4 years. That's been part of my goal coming in. I'm totally apart from planning and stuff, where I spend a lot of my time, is trying to rebuild that relationship between the city and the county, get us working on the same page for people here locally, for small businesses, for bringing businesses in. There have been no communication there at all for a long time. We voted back at the end of last year to send them a letter to say, hey, we would like to come back on board, join the chamber, get back together, work for people instead of working in our silo here, them over here, working at odds. So we were able to get that accomplished. The city of Shelbyville is now back in the Bedford County Chamber of Commerce. I feel like that probably is the biggest thing that came out of this meeting that will least controversial and won't be above the fold on the newspaper, but I think that's a huge deal.
All right.
We also voted to bring the city police and fire department onto the state TAC and radio network. That was a significant expense I swallowed when I had to vote for that much money. It is $1.649 million, but that's going to get our first responders on the same radio network as pretty much everybody surrounding us. Even Moore County came on recently. This gets us back in line with what the standard is for first responders in the area. Ton of money. That's the issue with that, is the state issue where they've signed on with Motorola, giving them exclusivity on this. And
it's not just it's not just Motorola. It's one company in Nashville.
Yeah, that even
for the whole
sells
state.
The product.
Yes.
Yeah. So even though we swallowed hard, we did do that. This still requires some additional approval on the county side as far as the memorandum of understanding that we approved Thursday night. So this will go before the county government over the next few weeks. I'll be at all those meetings and we'll report. I don't expect there's going to be any issue. I think this is going to happen. And hopefully, I know there's a lot of issue that we talked about for months on the county side, getting this implemented and rolled out, because they got to deal with all the drama,
the towers,
and getting all the technology working. Now that it all works, we're just going to get all the glory. We'll have our police and fire department on this probably in, I hate to throw a number out, probably could be as quick as like 60 to 90 days. It may take a little longer getting equipment in, but I think it's going to be quick. So last thing we voted on that I'm going to mention here today is we approved 4 new Welcome to Shelbyville signs. These are the wooden ones that have been at the 4 corners of the city going back. I believe they put them in the 80s. I think a couple of them, some of the letters fell off.
But when I graduated from high school,
the one on my side of town, the sign has actually no longer even exists because they did a construction project and that sign it was gone.
Yep.
So there will be 4 new signs going up before too long saying welcome to Shelbyville. Those are kind of a decorative thing, but the money, I feel less bad. The 1.649 I swallowed on that one. This one, which was obviously a lot less money, I swallow less when it comes out of motel money, because that money's generated by tourists that come into town. Less,
so they're paying for your signs.
So they're paying for most of it. Real quick, because we're still moving quick. Tuesday evening, we had our senior property tax free study committee. I don't want to shortchange that, but it was a good meeting. We had Ryan Duggan come in from the state comptroller's office. He gave us a lot of good facts and figures. We have already posted that video. I think you've got that already on our YouTube. You can watch the video on YouTube. I did a Facebook post that has a link to his slide deck, because you can't see the slides in the video, but you can actually watch the slides on the slide deck. And then we have one more meeting of this committee that, at least so far, we were granted 3 meetings in our original ask. So we have one more meeting coming up in April. It will be, I'm hoping it to be focused on our county trustee. She handed us a packet. She's done a study on all 95 counties, where they're at with tax relief and tax freeze. And I spoke to her briefly on Friday. She's going to present that information to us at the final meeting. And then hopefully we have enough time to just have kind of some back and forth talk where does everybody feel on this? What thoughts? I mean, I know we've got people in opposition, we've got people in support, and then gather all this up in a tiny bundle, a big bundle actually, and push it up to the Rules and Legislative Committee for their consideration the following meeting, and also back to the city council, so the city council can discuss it from the city side of things.
Okay.
So right after that meeting, went into the county commission meeting. They went a whopping 11 minutes. Man, I wish we don't get a lot of those on the other side of the street.
I know.
11 minutes. That was up though from the previous month. They met for 6 minutes, so they went 5 more minutes this month. They did appoint a new interim property assessor, Paige Beach. She has been the deputy, so she's moving up to the property assessor as Rhonda has retired officially now. And they added a $50 charge to the sex offender registry. They're going to use that $50 per sex offender register person to help pay for more community notification. That's a public database, but they want to get more of that information out to the public. That was it at that meeting, since it went all of 11 minutes. Wednesday morning, I spent 3 hours at BCUD.
Yes, I know.
About 2 hours of that was at the board meeting, maybe a little over 2 hours. And then I hung around even after that and talked with some of them for a little while after. Being on the city side of local government, BCUD is often mentioned at sometimes publicly, sometimes not so publicly, as kind of the boogeyman.
Yeah.
They're the boogeyman. So oddly enough, when you go in and meet with them, they're just like regular nice guys.
Yeah, no, they're not boogeyman.
They're not the boogeyman. I thought, man, because the boogeyman, they're not. They're nice guys. So I had forgotten. I knew one of the board members even before I got there. I'd forgotten that I knew him. So they had obviously a long meeting. The big point of discussion was the fact that people got their March gas bill and it was through the roof. So I'm not going to get too deep into that, but if you go back and watch on our Facebook and YouTube feed, you did a very good interview that was posted yesterday with their general manager. He lays out how their gas rates are set up, what happens, what doesn't happen, and how they got caught. They got caught in a pinch.
Yeah.
I mean, they got
got
caught in a pickle. Yeah.
6 months of a relief for
they,
people.
They're
to pay
offering
that
a
bill.
relief program to help people that got caught in the same pinch they did.
Yeah.
He pointed this out in the interview, and they did in the meeting too. He had 10 days to pay their gas bill.
Right.
Their gas bill was $1 million, where it's normally just, in the low hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
So they paid from their side, but they're giving their customers up to 6 months to pay that bill because it was way out of the ordinary. There were a number of factors that led to that happening that we're not going to get into. But basically, I think the biggest thing is they're smaller than even I realized. On the gas side of things, they only have about 450-ish customers. So they don't have the power to do some of the hedging things that a big company like Atmos is a huge company. I think they're in multiple states. Aren't they?
Yeah.
So they can't do what somebody big like Atmos can do. They're so small that they have very limited things. So they are looking at measures going forward to fix this, including buying the only way. I mean, normally gas is in a pipe, so you got to get it as you use it. So there is a method to buy it in liquid form and store it.
He mentioned that in the interview. Yeah.
It's kind of expensive, but it's not as expensive as what they hit with this time. So they've got to balance that.
That's sort of like a little insurance policy.
It's kind of an insurance policy they could do. That's about the only fix that's really going to work. They also, a couple of other things that came out of the meeting, though, I thought were interesting. They're working on a current plan. They're upgrading their water treatment plant. They're currently able to process 4 million gallons a day. They've got growth just like everybody else does. So they're upgrading to 6 million gallons a day. They're in the process of replacing water meters around the county. They still have some of those old, I think maybe the ones, the little spinning ones. They're going to the modern ones where you can read them with the radio, where you don't have to actually look at them with your eyeballs. So they're in the process of getting those upgraded across the county. They have been doing PFAS. We've talked about PFAS a lot with city water. That's the forever chemicals. They so far have not come up with any bad readings in their water on the PFAS. You would think they're pulling out of the same river, but they are pulling from a different location.
Right.
And for whatever reason, their testing has not turned up the PFAS yet. So they don't have that in theirs. Big item that had been in the news here recently, a couple of months ago. Actually, I think it happened in November, December. Tennessee Downs went up to the Tennessee Board of Utility Regulators, the comptroller's office, and raised some complaints about BCUD. They were supposed to have actually, the follow-up meeting was supposed to have happened in December. It got canceled. It was supposed to have happened this week. This week, there was supposed to have been follow-up with that. BCUD was contacted by the comptroller's office, asked them some questions about the situation with Tennessee Downs. They asked some additional questions to Tennessee Downs, and without even bringing it to the meeting, they basically, from what BCUD feels like, they made a decision that the claims were unfounded and they dropped the whole thing. It wasn't even on the agenda. I watched part of the T-Board meeting just to confirm there was nothing on the agenda about BCUD. It seems like that issue, at least for the moment, is dead. It didn't even come back before the board. And then finally, this I found interesting as well, and you won't find this in the news anywhere else because it just happened at their board meeting. They are working on a contract with the city of Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill, like everybody else around us, running out of water, and I guess BCUD gets close enough that they're going to do a deal with them. They've got up to 800 homes of development that are on hold because they don't have water capacity, and BCUD is considering a contract with them to sell them water to service these new construction homes. So,
wow.
Where that would affect, you say Chapel Hill, obviously not Bedford County, where that could affect Bedford County is BCUD currently has a connection with Bell Buckle. It's not their primary water source, it's their fallback. They have an old contract that ain't been updated in forever with Bell Buckle. Legally and just morally speaking, if they do the deal with Chapel Hill, Bell Buckle's going to have to pay the same rate. They're not going to get to keep that old rate that they've had for grandfathered in for forever. So if whatever deal they do with Chapel Hill, they can't give them a better or worse deal than Bell Buckle. So Bell Buckle is about to find out that if they ever have to go use their fallback water, they're going to have to pay the rate that Chapel Hill does. So, and that will obviously affect locally here. With that was a quick run through. We could have spent more time on some of the other ones. I know we spent a lot on the stuff at the top. It is what people are talking about, though. I wanted to be as clear as I could on why I made the decision I did. I know people hold there are people that hold a different decision. Obviously there was. I was the only one that voted my way. Everybody else voted the different way. And I don't, we still cut and joked up after the vote. I'm not gonna,
of course.
None of them seemed like they wanted to kill me, and I didn't want to kill any of them. So I think, believe it or not, you wouldn't know from the internet, but it's possible to hold two different positions.
It is,
and not hate the other person.
I know
it's a crazy concept.
I know it,
but it does exist. I know. It's nuts. You think you got to go out there and just attack them.
Yeah.
But it's possible to hold a different position with somebody and still go out and have coffee with them later. So if we had more of that, we'd have less of some of the other drama that has gone on.
For sure.
Back to the chamber deal where we're trying to heal some of that. Hopefully some of that stuff can get fixed, and we'll see.
Yeah.
Although we're about to have an election season and things.
I know.
Crazy for a while. So what are you going to do about that? But with that, I guess maybe we could hear from our sponsors one more time, and then we can talk about what's coming up in the upcoming week.
All right.
So
we'll be right back.
For clear vision and trusted care, choose Cutting Edge Optical. We offer comprehensive eye exams powered by 20/20 exams, expert contact lens fittings, and a wide selection of quality frames to match your style and budget. Need glasses fast? We even offer same-day eyeglasses to keep you seeing clearly without the wait. Our experienced team is committed to personalized service and helping you see your best every day. Visit Cutting Edge Optical at 1114 North Main Street in Shelbyville, or call 931-488-5778 to schedule your appointment today.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
When you're ready to buy or sell in Middle Tennessee, you want someone who knows this community inside and out. Meet Diane and Madison Arnold, Shelbyville's trusted real estate team with decades of local experience and award-winning results. Whether it's finding your dream home, pricing your property to sell, or navigating every step of the transaction with confidence, they're with you from start to finish. As part of Coldwell Banker Southern Realty, they pair hometown expertise with powerful market tools to help you move with confidence. Call Diane and Madison today and experience the personal service and local knowledge that makes all the difference.
All righty, welcome back into the weekend wrap up. Josh, you got another busy week ahead, it looks like. Not as bad as this past week.
Not as much as this past week. I will be a number of different things. Tuesday evening, the county committee meetings. There's 3 standing committees.
Yeah.
On the agenda, I didn't expect it this month. They're asked for an update on the tax freeze committee, so we may briefly speak on where that's at.
Right.
I do also know, I believe it might be, Public Safety Committee. They're going to discuss the memorandum of understanding between the city and the county on the TAC and radio system. And then there also is another city issue that's going to be on. I think it's at the Property Committee. They're going to talk about we need to do a deal with the county on a little sliver of land to allow the river walk that's going to go over there by the river. That will also be on the agenda. So a few things I'll be interested in hearing at that meeting. Wednesday morning, our City Employee Benefits Committee will be meeting. We'll be talking some more about possibly switching over to the state retirement plan for our city employees. I know particularly our first responders really interested in doing that, so we'll have more discussions on that. Thursday evening, the school board is meeting. I didn't take the time to pull up their agenda yet, but they will be discussing school issues of some kind. I usually go to that. I will see. There's also that same evening, I don't get to go to these because there's 3 meetings at the same time, but both the city and the county BZA meet at the same time as the school board, roughly give or take half an hour. That's where if you've got an issue with a standard zoning that you don't comply with, you can appeal to the BZA and they can give you some exceptions if you do certain things. So that's your place of last resort if you've got something you can't do. And then Friday morning, this one is one I went to last year, and this very ties into what we talked about at the front end of this whole show. We are not, believe it or not, the only community in the area that's looking at growth and infrastructure and whatnot. For the second year in a row, I will be attending with members of City Planning Department the Regional Growth Forum at MTSU. This year, the keynote speaker is the Deputy Governor. That'll be Stuart McWhorter will be speaking. In addition, we'll be hearing from the mayors of Murfreesboro, Franklin, and Lawrence County. And this will be a room full of people kind of like myself and our planning director, Tom, who care about where they live and what's going on and what can we do to address growth in such a way that we are smart, that we manage it, that we get good growth that's good going forward so that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, people don't look back and say, man, when that Blevins guy was in there for 4 years, he sure did screw up the city, and they had some awful looking growth. So big buzzword. I'll just throw it out there here. It'll probably be mentioned at this one, and I think I may even use it at our upcoming discussion when we get at come to Remington Farms again another month. Concurrency. That is the buzzword in the world of planning right now. That is where instead of letting your growth outpace your infrastructure, you actually tie your growth decisions to making sure that they meet the metrics of your infrastructure. So when your growth is going up, your infrastructure is moving at the same trajectory. There's a number of states that have actually codified this into their state laws and regulations. Tennessee has not. However, we can, as a city, work on our subdivision regs and our zoning regulation where we put some language in there that makes concurrency a part of what we do in our decision-making process. Not currently there, but that's something that I think, and I know their planning director has mentioned, he's looking at adding some of that. I think that's important because some of this people feel like is a little too subjective. They say, we heard from some people there, they felt like the infrastructure was fine. I feel like clearly I'm on the other side of that argument, but I feel like there are ways that the infrastructure needs to be improved before some of the growth happens. And we've got to find a way to get that all in balance.
Everything built, Josh, everything, whether it's a home, a business, if you till the soil, it impacts something. There's some fallback. There's some fallout from it. if it's one house, it makes an impact.
Yeah.
On the infrastructure in some fashion. So
Yeah. And I just want real quick, because I know we're about to be done, but I know there were a ton of comments today, and I just read off one, and honestly, I couldn't keep up with them, and David has not had them up, and we're not ignoring all those comments.
No.
We just had a lot to say, and we do appreciate all the feedback
Yeah,
in the comments.
absolutely.
And sorry that we couldn't get to them all, but we do. Yeah, I know there were a bunch. So
a lot of thank yous to Josh on here.
well, thanks. I appreciate those as well. So, but yeah, we're not ignoring you. We just I had a mouthful to
Yeah,
say.
you
and
did.
I wanted to get it out. And I know you got somebody coming at 11. So yeah,
All righty. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll be back again, same time, same place. With,
same channel.
A lot to talk about next week.
There'll be a few things I think
Yeah,
to talk about
yeah.
next week. So yeah, come back and join us next Saturday at 10.
All right. Thanks for watching. Again, thanks our sponsors. We'll see you again next week.